Happy Monday. Thanks for being here with us. Hope that you had a nice weekend. Something that I was tracking over the weekend, the October 1st deadline from the Republican National Committee. The RNC has rules for their state parties, like in Idaho, in terms of running things like the presidential preference primary. As the RNC rules go, on or before October 1st of the year, before the year in which the National Convention is to be held, which is this year, well, each state committee, they need to adopt their rules right before October 1st. So this is important because Idaho's GOP is moving to a caucus format for next year's presidential preference primary. And the October 1st deadline was the last technical opportunity for the state of Idaho to fix that. And you might have heard a new Idaho law inadvertently eliminated the presidential primary because of some technical errors. An effort to fix that late in the legislative session, it failed. So the current situation allows for political parties to create their own system to nominate a presidential candidate. The Idaho GOP announced following their convention back in June that they're going to move to a firehouse caucus, which creates GOP caucuses all around the state on March 2nd, 2024. The reason being, GOP Chair Dorothy Moon wants Idaho to be early in the national GOP cycle to nominate a candidate for president. She says she doesn't want to have to wait till May to have a primary election. So lawmakers could still act on all of this, but they haven't. And there's been a question for a few days out there. Could Governor Brad Little act on this? Well, I asked the governor in our candid conversation this afternoon.
Last week, there was a group of lawmakers or a handful of lawmakers that wanted to possibly be in this building to talk about the presidential primary, the preference situation. How many phone calls and how many messages did you get from lawmakers?
Well, I see them as I travel around the state and I visit with them. That wasn't an accident. There were two bills. The first one passed, the second one was supposed to pass, and it never got up here. It never got through the process. So we know we have a void in what's available to both Republicans and Democrats to be part of the selection process for the president. They can all agree and call themselves in. If they all collectively agree, and I think it's a good idea, I can call them in, or in January we can do it. Now, the problem is we might get penalized delegates at the national process by waiting till that, but that date's already passed. It was today, or yesterday, was the day that was supposed to take place. And in all reality, there weren't the people, and well, they didn't even have the petition filled out, other than a week ago. So I'm confident there'll be something in place. I just don't know what it's going to be. So.
Do you think that'll be January?
It could be, or there could be an agreement before that. So,
because I've spoken with people in Idaho political circles, and they said, well, maybe the governor should just call them back if they can't call themselves back. But the conversation usually went the direction of, well, why would the governor call them back if they can't seem to agree on something? Is that where your mind was at last week?
That's exactly right. Okay. Myself and my predecessors in this job, a special session, as was originally put in the Constitution, was for some circumstance that happened or something happened the legislature didn't get done. But we've always said, here's the bill number. If I got a majority on one side of the rotunda and majority on the other, and will I sign it? Otherwise you come here and you struggle around and there's different bills and they go back and forth, and that's what the regular session's for. That's not what a special session's for.
Do you have thoughts on the caucus format?
Well, I prefer our Idaho citizens making that selection. It's really difficult in some of these big counties. There's no absentee voting, so military people that are on a mission for their church. There's lots of people that just don't get to participate, and it's difficult. Depending upon what it is, what the weather's like that day, whether they can get to the polling place, and then those votes are counted by people that are not at all skilled in vote counting. We consolidated elections so that they're done by the professionals of the county. So the county clerk is all skilled up, knows how to count the votes, and we have seen, as we did in the last election, that we do audits afterwards, and our compliance rate is well over 99%. If we have a vote that's out it's usually a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent, because they're good at that. County clerks are good at that, and they were duly elected by the people in their counties, so that's the way it should be done.
So it is possible that lawmakers make a fix either in the next few weeks or months or in January. And it is possible that Idaho could get a waiver from the RNC to change their format. So the whole thing is not set in stone, but if things don't change, we will be seeing caucuses around Idaho early next year.